Morning or afternoon, whatever it is. My name is Fraser Morrison, and today I'm going to be running through a session on lead generation. This is just a brief introduction. I've done it at home, so I'm just out here enjoying the nice weather. It's a lovely looking day, and getting ready to just cutting this video. I'm trying to keep it simple. It's about 45 minutes long, I think. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break down lead generation for you. Lead generation is changing, there's no doubt about it. It's different. There's no doubt that what we've been doing in the past isn't going to work as we move forward. Most salespeople don't like lead generation really, they prefer to leave it to marketing. But marketing is getting, it's going to become more challenging for marketing as we move forward. So outbound lead generation and marketing need to work closely together, they need to be interacting together. And in this video, I'm going to break down for you how that works, what you should be thinking about, how you should be thinking about it, and some actions for you to take away. There is a workbook that goes with it, so if you come back, my name is Fraser Morrison, you're coming back onto LinkedIn, just ask me for the workbook, I'm happy to give you it, no problem. And you just connect and ask. I'll bounce me a message and say, look, I'm trying to get this. And enjoy the video. Right, so how is lead gen changing? Okay, obviously AI is here. We're in the world of AI. What the problem is being created with that is there's too much content now. It's all the same. There's no humanization of it. There's no storytelling. It's boring. Yeah? Okay, nobody wants to read a post written by ChatGPT. It maybe sounds nice and maybe it's a nice leg up for you to create content, but actually so the volume has gone up, okay, in LinkedIn and other places because people can create content, and some of the content is good, but you can see and read that it's probably done by the system, right, rather than a person. So things have to change. You have to change. How you engage with the market has to change, because at the end of the day, people are just not going to read it, right? Because they're not going to interact with it. So we do need to be adapting our content so that it's very clearly a genuine piece of content. AI will replace Google. Okay, search is going to change, right? It's already changing. SEO will adapt over the next 2 to 3 years, and search is not going to be the same. Yeah, AI uses a whole different set of things to find businesses, yeah, right? To put, if you ask it, what's the best company for lead generation? It's going to look at different criteria than Google did before. Google will look at who paid me the most. AI doesn't do that, right? In principle, it probably does, but not as blatantly as that. Yeah? So it's going to change. There's a big change coming from that perspective, and the companies that adapt to that are definitely going to be doing better. Now, this session's not about this, but it is an important point. Those two pieces are affecting what we do. AI is also making people much more intelligent and knowledgeable about topics. Okay, so they're more aware. They can address problems quicker. We all know, right? I don't know about you guys, but I use it and I like it. And we had a problem with a family member who had some challenges. And you do a search in Google and say, and AI, and how do you handle this? And it gives some very sensible methodologies of approaching things. So as a source of foundational knowledge, it's reasonably good, right? And what's happening is people that you're meeting with, if you came along to talk to me about lead generation, you would already have a bit of knowledge because you're interacting with this, yeah? You'd have a lot more than you had 3 years ago. What are the methods? You can ask the question, what are the methods? What's the best way? This type of business, how would I do that? And you can get that. So therefore, how we engage with clients and prospects and people needs to adapt, right? If you don't change, it's going to be a problem for you. Definitely. Transactional selling, in my opinion, is dead. What do I mean by transactional selling? That means going in there and only wanting to sell a product. If your whole impetus in a meeting with someone, in an engagement with someone, is how do I put my product in front of them and get them to buy, you're going to find that's not going to work. Buying is a collaborative experience where two people work together to create a different outcome. That's in the lead gen piece and within the sales piece. If you don't understand what that means, if you don't know how to make that work, you're going to have a problem, you know? And you'll see that in there's two data sets that are really critical. One is the number and quality of leads that I create, and then the number of leads that convert into revenue. You know? So you have two basic metrics there. So if I do 20 first meetings and I make no sales or one sale or two sales, there's a bit of a problem there, right? Now, is the problem lead gen or is the problem your sales process? Often the sales process, it's because you're demoing too quickly. It's because you're transactional. It's all about you. And I'm not going to go into that. We do a lot of work around helping companies build a sales process. It's not what we do as a business, but we realized that our clients and people we work with needed to get better at that interaction piece with clients. But it sits inside lead generation as well. If you're transactional and all you're trying to do is get an appointment, you're going to die. You know? It doesn't work. You know, yes, it works. You know, your 2%, your email campaigns, they work, but there is a better way of doing it. There is a different way of doing it. Okay. And then if I was come back to this, if we look at lead generation, there's 5 core parts to lead generation that are important. First of all, where are all the contact bases that you want to talk to? So LinkedIn, websites, research, target accounts, personal contact bases, external databases, our own databases, Gmail, Outlook, all of this has data in it. Yeah, it sits inside there. It's important. And I'll come to this later, but your data, you already have enough context to feed your business for the next 12 months. If you didn't do anything new, most people, you're just not mapping it. You're just not approaching it the right way. You've just not built that model out the right way. Lead activation is how do I interact with them? What methodologies am I using, engaging with these? And then I obviously, you could put them around different ways, but how do I qualify and make sure that they're set up the right way, that they're stored in the right place, yeah, right? CRM Navigator, the source, how do I check, yeah? And then nurture is what I'm really going to focus on today. This is the big sea change inside lead generation for your businesses. If you're not nurturing content, I've been harping on about this for years, but finally, there is no choice there, right? You know, if you think about it logically, what differentiates a human and AI? It's a human relationship. Therefore, we need to build up human relationships. So how do we do that strategically, which is really where I'm pushing this conversation with everyone. This is the future of lead generation. And then finally, booking meetings, yeah, right? How do we convert them? But really, for me, the focus should be on nurturing and how do I manage to interact with people, to use technology, to use what's available to me to manage those relationships in a human way. Has anybody, I'm going to pull this back across here. Has anybody dealt with an AI bot yet online? Put your hand up. Do you like it? Sometimes it's okay, right? Yeah. I had one the other day, thought, right, this is a true story. So I go online and I want to buy a new email campaign tool, yeah, right? And I've been recommended by this friend of mine. And he said, look, you've got to use this system. And so I went on and I signed up for it. And I had my account. And then I gave my EA the account so she could start to experiment with it to look to run campaigns. So it makes sense to do that. You know, I'm not going to, I'm CEO, I'm not going to run the campaigns. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So I gave her my contact details and my password, and I said, right, log in and you can start to do it. And the assistant came back and said, can it do? Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Right? How am I supposed to do this? And so I went through this process with it 3 or 4 times and we couldn't get it to work. So I then went online to the chat and I said, look, this is really frustrating. I'm having a really bad time here. You know, I'm going to cancel the account if I can't get this to work, but I'm not able to get my EA to run the campaigns. Yeah. So pretty straightforward, pretty clear. What did it say? It said, Mr. Morrison, so you want to cancel. So let me give you the instructions on how to cancel. You can do this, 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 and this, and this is how you cancel the account with us. Yeah? And explained in exact detail. It didn't address the problem. It explained how to do the cancellation. Now, I then went online to LinkedIn and connected with the CEO and wrote to him and said, I've got a bit of a problem here. Your system's trying to get me to cancel the account with you guys. I'm sure there's a workaround on this, yeah, right? And I sent him the screenshots of it, and then his assistant came back to me and said, look, this is what you do. Actually, what you do is you create a sub account inside the account. It's very easy to do. Here's the link, and then off you go. So for me, it's a good example of the fact that AI has a place. But if you over rely on it, you're exposing yourself to an immense amount of risk. And part of that is the quality of what's happening with it. You need to be very careful. Like, so automation in LinkedIn, I wouldn't do it, right? Why would you do it? If you automate in LinkedIn and LinkedIn bans you because you're automated, what have you lost? You've lost your account. You've lost your ability to use a platform to engage with the marketplace. LinkedIn doesn't want you doing that. It's not the system. It's not the way the system's designed. People don't want to deal with automation in LinkedIn as well, right? I don't know if you've had 10 messages from the same person, but nobody wants that. Nobody wants to receive a steady stream of messages from Simon Bergenroth, yeah, right? Saying, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, you need to talk to me. Hey, you haven't responded to me. Not that you do that, Simon, and I'm not accusing you of that, right? So Simon's my friend, right? So it's okay. Yeah. I can make an example of him. But we don't want that, right? So therefore, what's the alternative is the question, okay? That's what lead generation is, and that's sort of where I'm sort of heading today. So if I can get this to work, let's remember the base marketing axing. I always harp on about this as well. So 3% of people are buying actively at the moment. 7% have a need and are aware, but they're not buying. 30% have a need, but they're not aware that they have a need. 30% don't have a need, and 30% are just not interested in dealing with someone like you. So this has been around for 40 years within marketing. It's a base sort of principle. What I'm interested in lead generation and engaging with is I want to obviously pull the 3%, but if I talk to 100 people, that's only 3 people. So I really want to target the 37% as well. How do I engage with them? Lead generation is about how do I tap into that group of people there, That's a journey of trust. That's a journey from a cold contact to a nurture, to a touch point, to an interaction, to an engagement, to a conversation, to a meeting. That's how that flows. Yeah. And even when you meet them, they might not know they have a problem and be ready to act. So how do I then nurture them over the next 5 years to stay front of mind so that when they have a problem, they come back to me? The amount of business, I mean, we've been 10 years, 11 years now, and the amount of people that come back and say, I'm ready to go now, is mind-blowing, yeah, because I'm front of mind, yeah. Okay? And we are way at capacity. We haven't got enough people. We just got enough people to fulfill what we're doing, and we're recruiting like mad. Yeah. So there's something we're doing that's right within the business, and I see this within other companies as well, yeah. Okay? So, okay, and then finally, 4 primary methodologies of lead generation. You've got referrals. Obviously, we all love referrals. They're very nice. I'm not going to cover how to do all of these because that's just not going to make sense. I'm going to focus back to nurturing. We do other sessions around these. Networking, LinkedIn and email campaigns, and partnerships. Yeah, the 4 outbound lead generation methodologies. I part LinkedIn and email together, right? Because they're both about a volume play. They're both about, they're doing a different thing to the other things, yeah? Okay, different methodology, but they're sort of similar, yeah? And it fits in my slide better. So, and then I want you to think our traditional sales funnel is this, okay? We all know that, right? This is what everybody lives by. It's not correct. It's broken. It's been broken for 20 years because of dysfunctionality, because of laziness, because of that lack of understanding of what good looks like. What should be happening is as someone comes in at the top of the funnel, it's a narrow funnel, and we meet them and we nurture that relationship time and we build up this lovely, large quality database, and then we convert it into meetings at that point. So this database is getting bigger, not smaller. Yeah? Does that make sense? And then it feeds from there to there, and then it feeds back across to here. Yeah? That's the secret. That's how you grow your business. That's when I see successful businesses, they all do this. Every single one of them. The ones that are not successful have only got the model on the left, yeah, which is a funnel where they're just bringing it down to, it's all about the sale rather than the ongoing nurture. Okay. I want to bring you back to this point of why is lead generation important. So first of all, I want you to put your monthly target from revenue point of view, yeah? Okay. So pop in the top here. In this case, I put 20,000 a month. Let's change this to 50,000 a month, okay? And my average sale size is 30K, yeah? So we make this a bit more realistic, yeah? So my objective, to hit that number there, I need to make 1.67 sales per month. Make sense? Can you put your hand up if you need help? Because quite often people get left behind with this, yeah? Okay, so I want you to think of how many proposals that you submit to get one sale. Now, some people are 10 proposals to get one sale. Some people are, in our case, it's 1.25 proposals to get one client, yeah? So I would put every 1.25 proposals, I get one client, yeah? And then you're probably not doing this process. If you're not, how many discovery meetings go to a proposal? For me, it's one discovery meeting. Almost all of them go to a proposal meeting. It's very unusual they don't. And then how many introductory meetings go to one discovery? For me, it would be 4 introductory meetings going to one discovery, yeah? And then the number of attempts to book a meeting would be every 2 attempts to book a meeting, I get 1 meeting, yeah? Can you see what's going on there? So hand up if you're not sure, because if you get stuck, it's not going to work for you as we move forward. Right. Oh, someone's got the hand up. Excellent. Thomas, what's your question?
Hi, Fraser. It's just a quick one. When we're putting in the sales revenue target, presumably that's additional sales over recurring revenues.
Yeah. It's new. And technically, in this scenario, we're looking at new business. Yeah. So, a new business target. Yeah. Yeah. And look, it's always tricky. And from my case, I base it on annualized revenue. So if I close a deal today and it's recurring, how much does that add up for a year, right? You could do, you can change this. You just interpret the data slightly differently, yeah? Okay, anybody else got questions? All good? Are you all done? Can I move on? I got scolded by someone, right, for being too fast. Yeah, right?
I have a question, Fraser.
We're going.
Yeah, so are these like your number of attempts to book one meeting, is that to qualified people, or is that like you sending out 10, 20 LinkedIn messages?
It's a really good question. So you base that on your channel, right? So if your channel is LinkedIn and you're sending out 20 messages, you need to put 20 in there, right? If, like me, I get most of my business comes from referrals. For every time I get referrals, they go in a pot and I reach out, but I might not be able to book a meeting with them now. So 2 attempts to book a meeting with a referral will get me 1 meeting, yeah? It doesn't mean I've lost the referral. It just means they're not available this week or something like that, yeah? So use your baseline at the moment. What is it, yeah? The ultimate point I'm making here is if you want to do 5 introductory meetings a week, okay? How do you do that, right? How many do you need? How many attempts to book a meeting do you need, yeah, right, to be able to do that? Right. Good. So next, and this is really important, how many referrals does it take to get 1 meeting? Yeah. So if I say 1.5 referrals equals 1 meeting, Russell, did you ask another question, or were you're all good?
Oh no, that's not me.
Yeah, that's cool. So partner leads, how many if I get a lead from a partner, how many partner leads do I need? Now, don't worry if you don't do them, just put 1 in there, right? So I would be 2 partner leads equals 1 meeting, yeah? Inbound leads, 2 inbound leads equals 1 meeting. Networking, 2 networking would lead to 1 meeting. 20 LinkedIn would lead to 1 meeting, yeah? So that would be my base framework of where I am at the moment, yeah? And then, okay, so that addresses your point, Russell, yeah? Here. And then again, you're guesstimating, right? But usually our guesstimates are pretty accurate. So if the number is 100 LinkedIn, then just put it in, right? It is what it is. Yeah. Don't run away from it. You know, the numbers are the numbers, and you'll find plus or minus 20%, you'll be accurate. Okay. Now, this next bit's the most important piece. Okay. What percentage of your revenue do you want to come from where? Okay, so you want to, and you can change others here, right? You can put an extra box in, change it. You just need to change it here, here, and here, right? Okay, don't fiddle with these because we spent ages getting it all to work. Yeah. So for me, I want 70% of my 70% of my revenue comes from referrals at the moment. Yeah. I want 30% to come from partner leads and then 0 from referrals, right? So that's what I want. Yeah. Utopia for me. That's my target. Hypothetically. So I keep looking here because I've got you all there, as you know, yeah, right? You know how it works, double screening. So if we look at my monthly target, I need to bring in 1.76 clients, 1.6 clients a month, yeah? I need to do 2 proposal meetings a month, 2 discovery meetings, and I need to do 8 introductory meetings a month. And then I have 16 attempts. So on a weekly basis, I need to do 2 meetings. Now, what's really important to me is I need to get 8.75 referrals a month and 5 partner leads, yeah? That's the number I want to know, right? That's your whole sales process starts here, yeah? Now, this is quantitative. This is not qualitative, right? These numbers are available to you. You can actually work this out accurately and know what your ratios are. So as you move forward, you can plan what you're going to do. I mean, you can have an idea and you can be working towards something. But at the end of the day, if I'm not getting 9 referrals a month, I have a problem. Yeah. Yeah, go on, Russell.
So in the number of attempts to book meetings, is that unique attempts or is that me following up with them?
I would look at it as unique attempts in a week, yeah. And then next week you go back to 0 again, yeah.
So that means if I want to follow up with someone on day 3, it would be the 16 people plus.
To be honest with you, I would count that as another attempt, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you know, that's fair. Like, say I've got 6 referrals pending, and I reach out to 2 of them, and then one of them I reach out to again on Thursday. That's a number, right?
And what number is too much?
There's no number too much. So there's the right number, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it just comes back to data, right? And I get it. Nobody tracks this. Not even the biggest companies in the world track this. Not even Microsoft or no one looks at this data point at all. Yeah. I can count on my hand 2 companies in the last 10 years that I've come across, and we work with hundreds of businesses that understand this number. Yeah. So this is important to you, right? Okay. Any questions? Is it helpful? Does anybody want to talk through their data, their numbers? You don't need to share it, you can talk it through. Trina, how's yours?
Nothing from my end to share at this point.
No, okay, cool. And Simon, yours? That's an unusual way of, am I pronouncing it the right way? S-Z-Y, it's Simon, yeah?
Yes, you are. It's Simon, basically. So my data shows that we are in the middle of transition from having lots of business from our partners, meaning this 80-90% of the deals, and I'm not responsible for that piece. I'm responsible for increasing other sources.
Great.
So we have tried. I utilized my network, and it brought 2 deals so far, and we have a couple of deals that are, in the closing phase. So like the contract negotiations. We have tried email campaigns. So I have everything written down from those campaigns. We use the external company for email campaigns, and anywhere from 0 to like 2% response rate.
Okay.
So, but I am familiar with calculating the, going from the bottom, so from the results to top, what needs to happen to have this bottom result. So
Yeah.
basically, you set up that you would like to have 3 deals in a month. So basically, you just take the numbers from your past and see how many leads do you need that they convert to opportunities that from each source. So for example, you need to have like 5 opportunities from Clutch, 5 from your website, 10 from your LinkedIn activities, and then it kind of it sets up your weeks and your days on what kind of activities you need to do to reach this bottom, meaning like 3 deals a month.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And that's, and I mean, obviously you're a larger organization, but that's what you have to do. We all have to do that. The success comes from that model. So, and again, what I'm going to show you though is I'm going to lead out of this. So this is the funnel model, which is valid. But what we want to do now is say, where are we storing that data? How are we managing that data? How are we interacting with that data? So you need both. Yeah, they both work. It's not the reverse funnel, it works. You need both things going on in that ongoing nurture and that authentic interaction with people. It's the authenticity of what you do. So if you just send email campaigns, or if you just, it's not enough, right? It's not going to work, right? Because you're talking about 2-3% pickup, yeah. So Russell, you put your hand up again.
Oh no, it was up from earlier, but I can share my numbers if you want.
Yeah, perfect.
So because I've attended a lot of your workshops through Met for the last 2 years, and we're an early stage startup, I've built my whole campaign around what I've learned from you guys. And so we've just started our go-to-market campaign. So I use one of these old workbooks to do the same exercise. And so for me to hit a sales target of say 50,000, we have to do like 3.85 sales a month, and that comes up to almost 192 meetings. So I need to send 48 introduction. I need to attempt to book 48 meetings,
which is probably not going to happen, right? It's too much. So so then the question is, how do you fix that? Yeah. So because that's the challenge. So again, the numbers tend not to lie. That means that there's a challenge there within the model. How do you fix the model, right? How do you what do you have to do differently? What do you change? And that's where we want to be. I don't mind if I've got a model that's working like Simon's, and I'm going to work this now, and I'm going to make it better, or I'm with Russell where it needs a lot of help, right? But once you know that, then it allows you to practically assess, change, pivot what you do a little bit, and get it working. Yeah. Okay. Now, remember, when you're selling, there's 3 reasons you'll fail. Number 1, you don't have product market fit. If you have product market fit and the market wants your product, it's 10 times easier, okay? If you don't have product market fit, it's hard. And you don't decide product market fit, the market decides product market fit. That's the name, product market fit, yeah. So it's not product founder fit, yeah. So it's product market fit. It's really important to understand that reality is reality. If people are buying your stuff sort of off the quickly, you've got product market fit. That's the holy grail. If you're having to push hard to get revenue, it's tough. The second thing is lead generation model's broken. Yes, you're not engaging with the right people, drawing the right traffic into your business the right way. And then the third piece is your sales process is broken, which is 90% of the time, even though companies think it's not. 90% of the time it is broken because it's too pitchy, it's too demo based, it's too salesy. It's too transactional. So there's 3 core areas that will hold you back as you grow your businesses, and working out which ones are the problem. And it's very unusual for me to meet a company that has all 3 working. It's really I mean, maybe I can't even think of one company that I've come across that has those 3 working, because that's when you're in scalability, and that's when you're in a rocket ship and it's moving forward. Yeah. So let's move forward on this. My Microsoft's having a bit of a bad time. Yeah? So if we look at your sales model, what I want you to do now is I want you to think about, well, what's my model? Yeah, right. How am I going to be to doing my business development? What is actually my structure here? So part of that is assessing your existing database, yeah? Okay, so how many existing clients do I have? How many personal contacts? How many old clients do I have? How many centers of influence? How many target account lists do I have? How many outbound marketing lists? How many prospects? How many LinkedIn contacts do I have? Is there any other databases I've got, yeah? Okay, so you need to tag this, and then you need to put the number in there of what that is. Your money sits in here. There is 50% to 80% of your revenue that you generate this year will come from there, yeah? Even if you're a brand new business, it'll come from there, yeah? Okay, and then what we want to do then is, where will you find it? So what I'm going to do is, if I just take you out of here, and then we jump back into the workbook, and then you go to building your model. What I want you to do is pop in here, what does this look like? So existing clients, yes, I'm just going to do existing clients. So assume we've got 40 existing clients at the moment, okay? Personal contacts, and my phone, I count that in my phone, I've got about 1,200 contacts. Old clients, we've got about 30 old clients, okay? Centers of influence, oops, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I made a mistake there, sorry. Let me undo this because I've done it wrong, oops. So I've got 30 here, and then I've got old clients, right, 600 here, 30 here, let's just get that in there, and then centers of influence, I have about 40. Now, a center of influence is someone that likes you, that isn't looking to get any remuneration, and would happily introduce you to someone else. So Simon Bergnoth is here, I'm friends with him. If I asked him for introductions, he would happily give me them, I'm assuming, right? Okay, so that's a center of influence. That's someone that's influential, knows lots of people, and is happy to help you, right? We need to map those, yeah? Target account lists, there's 200 companies in Singapore I want to deal with. My outbound marketing list, I've got 1,000 contacts on that. Current prospects, we've got about 40 current prospects that we're interacting with. LinkedIn, I've got 22,000 contacts on LinkedIn. And then any other database, no, that's it, that's enough, right? That lets me see what I've got. Okay, so pop that in there. Now, I've built this here. So building your model, what you would do with this is you would export all of these into a spreadsheet with different tabs. Again, please don't send it to me. It's a PDPA nightmare, right? So do not, this is for you, right? Put it into a spreadsheet, and then go through that spreadsheet by putting a column on the left. And let me just show you here, right? So I would just insert a column on the left, okay? And then go through each list and mark X anybody who's a business contact like that, yeah? Okay? So do not filter for what they are. It's just the definition is a business contact. I had someone doing this today, and they'd gone through it and they'd said, do not contact ex-colleague, do not do that, right? If I'm going through 5,000 contacts, I just want to pull out of the system people that are business contacts that I know that would know me, yeah? Okay? If you do nothing else after this session than this, I guarantee you'll double your revenue from last year, yeah? Personally, yeah? Now, I'm very quickly going to show you this. So then what you do is, where do I find the contacts? So you can tag the sources here, okay? And then where are you going to store them? Think about where you're storing. I'm going to confess something to you here. I use Google Sheets, okay? Not CRM. I've used multiple CRMs over the years. I like HubSpot a lot, but we use Google Sheets because it's easier for us to manage what we're doing the way we do it, okay? So there's nothing wrong with using a Google Sheet, okay? It's what works for you that's important. I also use LinkedIn Navigator as a secondary database. Everything's tagged inside there. You can tag 10,000 contacts, yeah? Okay? And then where do you nurture them? I want you to think about this. So for me, yes. Mail shot campaigns, yes. Webinars, yes. Newsletter, yes. Etc. etc. So you've got your workbook there, and let me get this going. And now what I want to do is, how do you nurture, right? You see, so you've got these bases of contacts. This is where the money is, right? This This is where your resource. Don't get me wrong. You should be doing what I would call new for new. It's finding new contacts and bringing in new contacts. Bringing in new contacts, okay? That's important. But how do you nurture what you've got? First thing is, and again, this is why you hear LinkedIn works, okay? Now, I say that as someone that uses LinkedIn on a daily basis. It works incredibly well, yeah, right? I hear lots of people complaining about it and with the negative thoughts. I know it works. I know that of the last 20 proposals I've done, proposal meetings, 15 of those people have seen a piece of content in the previous 2 weeks. So imagine turning up to a proposal meeting and someone's read your post and say to you, hey, that was interesting, yeah? Or how was the trip to Japan, yeah, right? Or I liked what you said about trust and selling, you know? It changes everything, okay? So LinkedIn is now, so what's happening is the volume of stuff within LinkedIn is dropping, yeah, right? Your content is not getting in front of as many people. So if you look at all the LinkedIn gurus, they're all horrified by this. But if you talk to the people that are pragmatically making money out of this, out of LinkedIn and building their businesses, LinkedIn is putting the right content in front of the right people. Okay? It's definitely doing that, right? I see it. We've got 30 companies, the people that do it, it's working. People will interact with you if you are a human. They will not interact with you if you are AI. They don't like it. You think about it, you don't like it, right? If you read a post that's got loads of emojis in the dash that ChatGPT has, yeah, and as you work your way through it, you go, oh, not another piece of chat. I mean, you can just do the ChatGPT yourself and ask it. I want to read a post about a story. I want to know it's real. I want to hear about something that's happening within it. I want that real content from people. Webinars work brilliantly well if they're about knowledge. They cannot be they can't be entertainment, yeah, right? And they can't be edutainment. They need to be technical and for people to learn from you, yeah? And they shouldn't be salesy, okay? It works. There's no doubt it's working, yeah, right? You know, video on LinkedIn is off the charts. And not video that's polished or edited or beautiful or shot in a Canon, right? You don't need to do that, right? Videos of you standing there technically walking through a thing that's of interest to your marketplace is working, but you need to keep it, you need to get it right. So go onto YouTube. There's a load of stuff there about how to create videos, how to do it. But most of the science says it's not about being polished. It's about being technically knowledgeable and sharing that type of knowledge with people, okay? It works. Categorically it works, yeah? And you've got your new contacts in your existing base. Remember, it's 1 billion people in LinkedIn, yeah? There is nothing else doing business social media in the world, apart from in Germany, there's another platform, yeah? Okay, so there is one other platform. Okay, but people are engaging. Indonesia, I do stuff in Indonesia, Malaysia, right? You know, countries that before were all using Facebook for communication, now they're using LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a platform that people are engaging with. The only people that are not engaging in LinkedIn, if you're selling to them, it's a problem. You know who it is? It's marketing people, yeah? They don't use it as a rule. Their profiles are hidden. They're not engaging with LinkedIn, so they don't understand it. It's leaving them behind, yeah? Okay? Which is really interesting. The second most common lack of use in LinkedIn is salespeople. They're not using it. Small businesses are using it, founders, CEOs, senior executives use it a lot, yeah, right? Because it's got multiple uses. You can communicate within your organization, you can communicate culture, you can communicate, my wife's a professor, I was saying to you earlier, she posts about pedagogy and andragogy, learning for children, learning for adults, how it's changing, what's going on, and she creates content and shares it. That goes to the wider community, but it also goes to senior management. She is on the radar of all the senior people in the National University of Singapore, yeah? Because they see the content, they like it, they comment on it, yeah, right? So people's careers are growing because of it. It's doing stuff that's really fascinating. So we can build a base, we can book meetings, we can nurture contacts, nurture partners, we can get referrals. I exaggerated, but I've got a client that's a good friend of mine. And I said, look, I've got 20,000 contacts. who do you want to talk to? He specializes in SAP. And so I've opened my base to him because it fits, but he's also opened his base to me, right? You know, so we can pass referrals back and forwards. You can do that. I can do the searches in his account, target account marketing, opening a new region, running a webinar, sharing thought leadership. If I'm traveling to London, I will reach out to my contacts in London and say, hey, I'm going to be in London. Do you want to get a coffee here, right? And I would start with the people that have attended webinars. They're all tagged inside Navigator so that when I go to that area, I can say, you know, hey, Christelle, I'm going to be, I don't know where you are. Are you in Edinburgh, Christelle? Yeah.
Oh, I'm in Switzerland.
Switzerland, right? Cool. Well, if you're in Zurich or where in Switzerland?
I'm close to Geneva.
Oh, close to Geneva. So if I do go to Switzerland, right? Sometimes. So if I was there, I could reach out and say, hey, you know, I'm going to be in Zurich. Do you want to, or not Zurich, in Geneva? Do you want to get a coffee? Right? And I can do that, right? It doesn't mean I'm going to get an appointment, but there's a different way of engaging, yeah, right? Running account management is sensational using Navigator and using the data that sits in LinkedIn, customer services campaigns as well. Yeah? Okay, so there's a lot you can be doing with the platform, and when you're building a base, like it is simple, but it's also not easy because it's about consistency. It's about being accurate with what you do and having a clear process of how am I going to work the model. You know, and having the resource and the time and the ability to do that. Yeah. So for example, if my client is let me think, British Telecom, right? BT, they're still around in the UK, right? Let's say I'm working with BT, right, in Manchester, and I want to penetrate BT around the rest of the UK. I can map all of those people in there I want to talk to in BT. I can connect with them. I can manage them all through centralized list. I can then interact with them. You know? Okay, in a human way. I can do all of that because I've got Navigator. But it takes time and it takes effort, okay? So again, I'm not going to bore you with data, but most people's data is out of date. It's not working. It's pretty broken, yeah, right? You know, so so what we want to do is get your database, your prospect list, get this database set up the right way. Your marketing database for email campaigns, your old database, get it clean, yeah, right? Your live clients and your dormant clients, map them all inside Navigator, and then start to prioritize people, do activities, have a coffee, invite to a webinar, share an article, like it. It's so powerful to do a genuine like and comment on their post, right? Don't do fake comments, right? Yeah, hi, oh, that's great. Do a comment that talks about what they're doing or what they're saying, yeah? Okay, you know, it's mental, right? I always laugh about, sorry, but in the US, it's the 16th top university in the world, so it's up there with Harvard, Cambridge. It's the leading Asian university, right? You know, and you know how academia is out here. The head of the university posts, and nobody comments on his posts. You know, he's looking at those. You have the ability to interact with the senior person, right? You know, you have the ability to engage with these people. If you comment in their post in a smart, intellectual, positive way, it's interesting, right? You can do that. But you know what we all do? We overthink it. We all worry about it. What do I say? To me, I don't care. I genuinely say the right thing that makes sense, okay? So, but you've got to be managing your data the right way as you move forward, okay?
Fraser, can I just ask a question on that one?
Please, yeah.
How much time do you dedicate to this versus getting somebody else to do it? Because it's obviously a lot of work to do this consistently. And I'm just always conscious of, I don't want to automate it too much because of that personalized stuff, but also it's a ton of time. So I'm just curious, how do you manage your time?
No, it's the right question. So to me, I would start by doing it myself at a basic level. I mean, what we do at that steps, we manage this for clients, yeah, right? So we actually will do this work. So I don't do any of it, yeah, right? There's teams. Eggy's here today, so she organized the webinar and coordinated it all. So we have a team of about 50 people doing stuff for clients, yeah. But I've known since I started in sales that I need to get other people doing stuff that allows me to do the stuff that's valuable. Yeah? And my team understands that. Eggy understands the less I do for her, the more I'm doing the right stuff. And so she makes the world work, so it's completely supportive. So you have a team of people that are supporting you that way. It makes your life a lot easier. Yeah, right now. Sorry, that's the only pitch I'll give for what we do, but that's how we do it. But I would also suggest doing it yourself. Like, if you've got a business and you're just making money, you need to do it yourself, and you need to understand what you're doing and do it, and come along to webinars like this. Go and read. I've done tons of content on it. Read how to do it. It's all there. You can get it yourself. If you've got any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Right? I'm not going to sell to you, and I'll answer your questions and I'll show you how to do it. And then when you're ready, you can come along and have a chat, or go to another agency and ask them for some help. Yeah, right. There's lots of different agencies and ways of doing it, but getting people to support you is super important, James. Yeah, right. It's the only way you can grow. Right. It's so cool. So, but thank you for that. That's a good thanks. That saves me doing a pitch, right? So, and then how do we do it? Like, it's here, right? This is our documentation. This is literally cut and pasted from my documentation that we have at the moment. So we've got the stage here, the lead name, the job, the company, the country. But what's important here is, look, touch point 1, touch point 3, touch point 3, touch point 4, 5, 6, right? We are touching people consistently over time, yeah? 12 times. But with authentic touch points, not an email campaign. It's an invite to a webinar. It's a piece of content that's relevant, or it's, I'm going to be in your area, do you want to get a coffee, or a comment on their post, yeah, right? And we're managing that so that over those 12 touch points, what happens is you're on their radar at the end of it. My clients a while back, a few years ago, before COVID, they were producing about 2.5 billion a year, objective to proof business in Asia, 12 Asian countries, 3,000 staff in Asia, addressable market, 300 companies in Asia, become the go-to choice for these companies for the product. That was the goal, okay? So we created a map, identified all the key personnel, utilized CRM to track. We allocated 300 staff to it, and 10 salespeople. So there was a coordination of engineering staff. It should be 300, and then 10 sales. And you can tell this is not created by AI. That's good. I did that deliberately. I made the typo there, and then we humanize the touch points. So engineers particularly like to have coffees or beers, right? It's whatever. I'm not judging anyone, right? That's what they like to do, right? So they have a coffee or lunch or a beer, and they collaborate in projects, sharing new ideas, maintaining contact. We did all this, tracked it all inside CRM. The over 4 years, annual revenue grew from 2.5 billion to 7 billion a year. Now, the CEO of the company is American, and I knew him, and he said to me, look, what I want to do is I want to manage this. I know who the clients are. I know who the people we want to talk to, and I want to nurture those relationships over the next 4 years. Yeah, that's my goal. Your job is to make that happen over 4 years. Yeah, and that's what I mean by authenticity. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by doing things the right way, right? There's a right way that creates good results, because people know it's genuine, right? They know that they know that it's real, right? Like those engineers going and having conversations with other engineers was a real thing, right? And actually it became useful to them. And so you've got this base. It might be 50, 100, 200, 300 people. You need to nurture them and manage them. And there we're using AI. Like I'll write an article and I'll get AI to clean it. I'll record a video, and then I've got an AI piece of video tech that'll cut all the hums and ahs out, right? And then make it nice, yeah, right? So I am using AI, but I'm just not using it to create, yeah? Great. So you've done the session. Hopefully it was useful. Just to wrap up, the takeaways you should have had are: my base is valuable. I can use it. I should be using it. I'm not using it as effectively as I should be. The second thing is you should be thinking, I don't know my data, because you probably don't. Very few people I've met understand the data and understand the metrics and the numbers that sit around their sales process. So take a look at it, go back and revisit the video. Hopefully it's been helpful. I would love your feedback on it. And it's not easy. Lead generation is not a topic that most people love. Personally, I love it, but it's not a topic that most people love. So let me know. I'm keen to get your feedback on the session, and hopefully it's given you some insights.